As the ice statue shattered, a ball of white light emerged out of thin air in front of a mountain face around half a kilometer away from Feng Qiandu and the others, and it began to revolve on the spot, stirring up all of the surrounding snowflakes into a frenzy. These snowflakes converged to form a block of ice that was around 10 feet tall in the blink of an eye, and the block of ice then exploded to reveal Xiao Jinhan, except he was looking even paler than before. Even though he was looking rather worse for wear, the spirit domain that he had released still hadn't faded, and upon closer inspection, one would discover that the white light in the area immediately around his body was particularly dense, forming a translucent protective barrier that kept the power of the 4 opposing spirit domains at bay. Feng Qiandu turned his gaze to Xiao Jinhan, and he gave a cold harumph while making a hand seal, upon which the giant black sword in front of him instantly swiveled around before transforming into countless black sword projections that swept toward Xiao Jinhan like a torrential wave. All of the other golden immortals also instantly set off in pursuit of Xiao Jinhan while unleashing attacks of their own. A giant gray palm projection, an enormous fiery sword, and a crimson fiery dragon were sent hurtling toward Xiao Jinhan once again, and they were even more formidable than before. As for the other golden immortals, they had no spirit domains of their own, so their mobility was quite significantly impacted by Xiao Jinhan's spirit domain, and as a result, they were lagging far behind. Even though Xiao Jinhan was looking a little worse for wear, he wasn't displaying any signs of panic as he flew straight down as a streak of white light. Upon landing on the ground, he remained still on the spot as he raised his head to look up at Feng Tiandu and the others. The entire sky above his head was already filled with spiritual light, and an assortment of attacks came crashing down upon him. Right at this moment, a resounding boom rang out from the ground below, and all of a sudden, a white stone pillar that was several hundred feet tall abruptly erupted out of the ground. 4 more resounding booms rang out as an additional 4 white stone pillars emerged, forming a circle around Xiao Jinhan. The 5 stone pillars were of a translucent white color, looking as if they had been forged from ice crystals, and they were riddled with countless strange patterns. Furthermore, there were numerous glowing white gemstones embedded into the pillars, and they were flashing incessantly like eyes. Radiant white light erupted out of the 5 stone pillars, then quickly connected together to form a white light barrier that encompassed Xiao Jinhan within it. All of the attacks unleashed by Feng Tiandu and the others struck the white light barrier with tremendous force, causing it to warp and tremble, and the runes on its surface swirled and churned. It looked as if the light barrier could shatter at any moment, but it was ultimately able to hold itself together, much to the surprise of Feng Tiandu and the others. Far away in the cave, Hanli wasn't all that surprised to see Xiao Jinhan escape from the spirit domains of his 4 assailants. After all, he had dared to come here on his own, so he had to have been prepared, and as the master of the Northern Glacial Immortal Palace, it was only to be expected that he had some life-saving trump cards up his sleeve. However, what did evoke a sense of surprise within him was the sight of the stone pillars that had emerged around Xiao Jinhan. The 5 stone pillars were trembling slightly, and the spiritual light that they were releasing was becoming more and more radiant. There were also countless white runes swirling within the spiritual light like snowflakes before fusing into Xiao Jinhan's spirit domain. The spirit domain rapidly expanded as a result, and its area was increased by 2-fold in the blink of an eye. This was rather alarming to Han Li, as the cave that he and Jintong were situated in was now also encompassed within the spirit domain. Additionally, all of the Dawnfall sect and Southern Dawn race true immortals, as well as Ouyang Kushan's trio, had also been swallowed up by the spirit domain. Not only has the spirit domain expanded in size, the glacial chi within it was also rapidly becoming denser, as were the snowflakes swirling around in the air, and the potency of the ice law powers within the spirit domain had also been roughly doubled. Inside the spirit domain, the rock faces of the valley were instantly covered in a thick layer of ice crystals, while a bed of snow appeared on the ground. In the blink of an eye, The entire area within a radius of dozens of kilometers around the valley had been transformed into a world of ice and snow. At the same time, a layer of ice crystals also appeared over the bodies of Feng Tiandu and the others, and they were instantly turned into ice statues. The true immortals in the distance were faring even worse. They had only just defrosted after being sent out of Xiao Jinhan's spirit domain, and now they were frozen solid once again, with even their expressions frozen on their faces. However, immediately thereafter, lights of different colors began to appear within the ice crystals that Feng Qiandu and the other golden immortals had transformed into. The ice crystals that they were encased in were quickly shattered, but all of them were looking slightly pale. Ouyang Kuishan and the other Dao Lords knew they couldn't just stand by passively any longer, and they also flew down to join Feng Tiandu and the others. Meanwhile, for all of the true immortals, this was the straw that broke the camel's back, and all of them were quickly frozen to death on the spot. Feng Tiandu and the others were furious to see this, but they had too much on their plates to worry about those true immortals. What are those 5 pillars? I've never heard of anything that can enhance the power of a spirit domain so drastically. And when did he even set them up? Qi Tianxiao asked with a stunned expression. Everyone else exchanged clueless glances with one another, and they were clearly just as perplexed. Even Feng Tiandu seemed to have no idea what these pillars could be. Even though they had a numbers advantage, their aura was being completely outmatched. You think I was completely oblivious to this little plot of yours? I was merely playing along, so I could lure you all in and strike you all down at once. You will be the ones to die here today, not me, Xiao Jinhan declared in a cold voice. Everyone's expressions changed slightly upon hearing this. Right at this moment, the entirety of Xiao Jinhan's spirit domain began to rumble once again, and it was gradually suppressing the other 4 spirit domains. Grim looks instantly appeared on the face of Feng Tiandu and the others, and they all channeled their cultivation arts in an attempt to enhance their spirit domains to keep Xiao Jinhan's spirit domain at bay, but to no avail. This is impossible. How could this restriction possibly elevate the power of a golden immortal's spirit domain to this extent? Feng Qiandu murmured to himself with tightly furrowed brows. As soon as his voice trailed off, a ball of white light emerged in the air above the 5 stone pillars, and countless streaks of white light appeared around it before converging toward it. The ball of light instantly began to rapidly expand, transforming into a giant white figure that was over 100 feet tall. The top half of the giant figure belonged to a man, but the bottom half was nothing more than a cloud of indistinct white mist that was churning incessantly, and the entire figure was giving off an astonishingly formidable law aura. This is a domain spirit. His spirit domain has been elevated to the 3rd level, the spirit form stage. Feng Qiandu exclaimed in a grim voice. Everyone's expressions instantly changed drastically upon hearing this. The domain spirit cast its gaze toward Feng Qiandu and the others, and its eyes were clear and lucid, looking no different from the eyes of a normal person. With a sweep of its sleeves, the spirit domain around it instantly began to churn violently, and countless snowflakes converged around it, while swirling incessantly to inundate its entire body. In the blink of an eye, an enormous white glacial wave had taken shape, and it swept toward Feng Tiandu and the others with tremendous force. Even before the giant glacial wave arrived, a burst of fearsome ice law powers had already descended upon everyone, and it encompassed too large an area for them to evade. The entire space was encased in a layer of white ice crystals, and Feng Qiandu and the others were all frozen within it. Immediately thereafter, spiritual light of different colors erupted out of their bodies to shatter the surrounding ice crystals, and Feng Qiandu declared, "Don't hold back anymore, fellow Taoists. Otherwise, we really will be the ones to die here." He swept a sleeve through the air as he spoke, and his black sword instantly shot forth through the air, conjuring up countless identical black sword projections that converged to form a sea of black swords to oppose the glacial wave. Everyone else also summoned all of their immortal treasures to support the sea of black swords, thereby further bolstering it as it surged toward the glacial wave. Inside the cave, Hanli and Jintong were also affected by Xiao Jinhan's spirit domain, and both of them were instantly frozen into a pair of ice statues. A burst of bone-chilling ice law powers spread through Hanli's entire body, striking him with a sense of excruciating pain. At the same time, his immortal spiritual power was also frozen solid, slowing its circulation to a crawl. Hanli had faced ice law powers in the past during his battle against Han Chu back in the Black Wind Sea, but compared with Xiao Jinhan, Han Chu's ice law powers were like a candle next to the sun. Immediately thereafter, a golden light barrier appeared over Han Li's entire body in a flash, and a burst of time law powers erupted out of the golden light barrier to keep the majority of the invading ice law powers at bay. At the same time, a burst of tremendous force surged out of his body to shatter the ice crystals around him, and he remained unharmed through that brief ordeal. While it was true that Xiaojin's ice law powers were extremely formidable, he was able to escape injury thanks to his incredible physical constitution. Meanwhile, the layer of ice crystals around Jintong was also shattered amid a flash of golden light, following which she cast her gaze toward the 5 stone pillars in the distance with a furious look on her face. Her physical constitution was superior even to Han Li's, so she was naturally also completely unharmed. But being subjected to Xiao Jinhan's ice law powers had been a very painful experience for her. In the next instant, radiant golden light emerged over her body, and a sense of foreboding welled up in Hanli's heart as he hurriedly called out, "Jintong, wait!" However, before he had a chance to finish his sentence, Jintong had already vanished from the spot. His brows furrowed tightly as he stomped onto the ground in frustration, then abruptly vanished from the spot as well.